And Jesus himself said that he did not come to do away with the law.
Not take us out of this world if he does not want us to be contaminated by it.
All right, Matthew Lucio here with the Adventist History Podcast. I am joined today by two excellent gentlemen. We have Greg Howell, Michael Campbell. They are going to be launching a new podcast on the brand new Adventist History Podcast Network. Welcome, Greg. Welcome, Michael. Tell us a little bit about this podcast. What is it called and what is it about?
Thanks, Matthew. We are calling it the Adventist Pilgrimage Podcast, actually. We're just trying to jump in and do a little bit of different stuff with Adventist history. You have set an amazing foundation for us, Matthew, but we want to dive in with interviews and different ideas from people who have been in Adventist history, who have been some of the major founders even of our own endeavors. We're looking at guys like George Knight, Gil Valentine, and some others. So we just want to hear from the historians, what exactly their take is on Adventist history.
Yeah, basically Adventist stories. So how we tell those stories, who we talk about, all of those things matter.
Yes, they do. And speaking of Adventist historians, both of you guys are practitioners of the art. Tell us a little about yourselves.
Sure, I'll jump in. Michael Campbell here, and I teach at Southwestern Adventist University. I've been teaching theology and church history and love to specialize in Adventist studies.
I'm Greg Howell. Yeah, I'm teaching actually high school, currently out in Sacramento, California, but I'm working on a PhD in global church history and currently focusing a bunch of my research on early Adventist manuscripts, diaries. I've been kind of picking up a few of those along the way. But my actual last step in my process is looking at the history of how Adventists have studied the Bible since the 1950s up until about the 90s. So just trying to kind of dig in there and really dive into some of our early methodology.
Interesting. So this podcast, Adventist Pilgrimage, is launching on April 1st, correct? What is your first episode like? Who did you interview?
Yeah, well, we went with the Dean of Adventist Historians, George Knight himself, and we just wanted to kind of unpack, and he really just unloads. I think one of his most candid interviews yet that I have had the privilege to interact with him. So you're not going to want to miss out on this George Knight at his finest.
Yeah, it seems in the last few years he's kind of been feeling free to speak his mind a little bit more, and he's always done that. But you're saying that you got a little bit of that in this interview with him, huh?
Back in the day when I was a student at the seminary and took classes from him, I remember him making comments. Of course, like you said, he was very not afraid to be quite candid even then. But, when I retire, there's some things I want to say. And certainly George Knight is doing that now.
So after that, we went to the lunch line. Maybe we had a couple other meetings in between. And I'm standing in the lunch line, and Neil Wilson comes up to me. He puts his arm on my shoulder, and he looks me in the eyes. Now, Neil Wilson had very penetrating eyes. And he looked at me and he said, "I want you to quit talking about me." And then he smiled. And I've used that as an illustration that we can use church history to say things that we can't say out loud. We can say them out loud, we just can't put them straight forward. The use of Adventist history that took place in the annual council of the General Conference, and the good brother, who was very perceptive, Neil was a very talented man. He understood what I was doing, and we were good friends anyway.
Look forward to that episode, the first one on April 1st. How often are we going to be releasing episodes here?
We're going to be trying to put these things out at least once a month, possibly a little bit more, depending on interview schedules and people available to kind of talk to. We're hoping, to kind of branch this out a little bit, even from looking at the interviews, looking at other people who have made big impacts on Adventist historiography. But we're also going to be looking at certain topics. And I think that's kind of one of the cool things, things that me and Michael have kind of jointly looked at, or just independently some of our own research projects. So we're going to be mixing it up a little bit, talking to the historians, looking at some of the various uncharted depths of Adventist history, hopefully, just to kind of peel back the layers a little bit.
New discoveries, things that are constantly being found as well. There's a new recording, what appears to be the oldest Adventist recording ever by a African-American choir in Atlanta from the early 1920s. So we're going to explore new things as they're discovered, what's the significance, try to contextualize them so that we can not just kind of focus on our own narrative, but how do these stories and the significance of these historical actors and agencies in the past, how does this impact our wider narrative and how our own self-understanding of our past?
Wow. So what I'm hearing is, listeners are going to get first looks at things that have been discovered or learned that have not yet made it into a textbook. B, they're going to get a deep dive into Adventist history, and in particular, a deep dive into Adventist historiography, the study of, or the formation of Adventist history over time. So this is going to be some really, really interesting stuff. It seems that short of enrolling in one of your classes, they're not going to get it anywhere else. So we're looking forward to Adventist Pilgrimage. Look, before we go, though, I just wanted to pitch a couple of ideas here about your intro and outro music. I don't know if you finished that yet.
No, hit us with it.
We need ideas.
All right. First, I wanted to start with something edgier. Maybe this will work. Seems very Adventist history-like. No, all right. Maybe this one. Then we'll dial it back a little bit.
Ooh. Old school here now.
Too far back. All right. Last one I want to try with you guys.
Nice.
Your MC today is the MC Michael Campbell. Oh yeah, you guys are grooving now. All right. This has got to be the one. Gregory Howell. My favorite part is that voice at the end.
I'm throwing all my other ideas out. It's done. We have found the one.
All right. Pull you in, Matthew. This is great.
No, this is my dream in life. I just want to do music for podcasts. Oh man, guys, it sounds like a fantastic journey that you guys are going to be taking here on Adventist Pilgrimage. Greg, Michael, thank you guys so much. We look forward to your launch on April 1st. I'm sure it's going to be available on Spotify and iTunes and Android podcasts, everywhere fine podcasts are distributed.
Send it to the winds.
Thanks so much, Matthew.
Your MC today is the MC Michael Campbell. And with him is Hip Hop Gregory Howell.
Let's get this show started.
The Adventist Pilgrimage Podcast is part of the Adventist History Podcast Network. You can find other podcasts, as well as additional content from this podcast, by following us on YouTube and Facebook. If you'd like to support this show or others on the Adventist History Podcast Network, please visit patreon.com/Adventist History Podcast. Enjoy the show.